What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. We're live breaking down Game 28 of the regular season. The Toronto Maple Leafs defeating the Los Angeles Kings at home 5-0. Back-to-back shutouts for Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov. The Leafs moving to 17-5-6 on the season. TJ Brodie makes his return to the lineup, and of course, the most important story of all, and it will continue to be until it comes to an end. Fingers crossed that it does not, is Mitch Marner extends his point streak here tonight to 21 consecutive games. And personally, I am happy that that Marner is able to do this and continue to grow the point streak to the point that it is, because when you look at these point streaks, there's so many streaks around the NHL that happen when it's either just like, I mean, even looking at the Jason Robertson one the other day, it's incredible that he got to 18. It's incredible. But even somewhat of that like diminishes a little bit when you compare the fact that Mitch Marner had the 18 and it was tying a Maple Leafs franchise record, right? Like, that is a long-standing franchise, and the longest streak that they've ever had is 18 games. I mean, 18 games is a lot of games with consecutive points, but it just kind of is like, oh, well, this guy did it and it didn't get all the hype. Marner continuing this, making it as long as he can possibly get it here on this point streak, going for as many games as he possibly can. It's amazing because he's going to continue to write his name in the record books, but it's not just going to be some rinky-dink record where, oh, he has the Leafs one, where that obviously holds a lot of weight, but that holds weight to Leafs fans. Mitch Marner continuing to push this franchise record as far as he possibly can, trying to catch up to other guys who are current active players in the NHL and their longest streaks that they've had in their careers, like the ones Crosby and Kane have put up. It means something because it sits there and it says, all right, this is an actual NHL consecutive point streak. Now, it's not just a Leafs one. This is a huge point streak. This is something that people around the league actually have to start to pay attention to because it's not just to do with the Maple Leafs anymore. This is an NHL one. And now, is he going to get to 51 games and tie Wayne Gretzky? Yeah, I don't know about that. I doubt it. Unfortunately, I doubt it. I wish it was something I felt way more confident in, but 51 games is an incredible streak that Wayne Gretzky had. That's potentially something that may never get broken. The longest ones of current active players, like 26 games, I believe it was. So when you look around and you see stuff like that, it's like, all right, this may not be feasible to get the NHL record of consecutive games with points, but could he pass Patrick Kane? Could he pass Sidney Crosby? Yes, it is possible. I mean, you're looking at longest point streaks among active NHL players, courtesy of Chris Johnson. He tweeted this out during the game. 26 games, Patrick Kane, October 17th to December 15th, 2015. 25 games, Sidney Crosby, November 5th to December 28th, 2010. And now, Mitch Marner, 21 games, October 27th to current. It is still ongoing. That is attainable. Those are attainable. And honestly, like, let's pull up the Leafs' next few games. And now, mind you, this is a guy, and this is a team, honestly, even where it doesn't even matter the teams that they're playing against, because when you look at it realistically and you think about it realistically, this is a guy who could score points against anybody. It doesn't matter. But basically, if he were to do this, he would need 4 more games. So that would include the Flames on Saturday night. That's 1. The Ducks on Tuesday. 2. Rangers on Thursday. Next Thursday, that's 3. And then the Capitals on Saturday. That would be 4 to tie Sidney Crosby. And then back against the Lightning, another opportunity to further that and tie Patrick Kane with 26 against the Lightning Tuesday, December 20th. Like, this is something that is possible. It is exciting to see. It's exciting that this is happening with this Toronto team. It kind of gets the vibe of what we saw with Austin Matthews last year, where, I mean, the guy was going on an incredible run. He had the 50 and 50, he scores the 50 goals. He breaks Rick Vive's record. Then he goes on and he makes it 60. Some of that stuff just makes it so much more fun to do because sitting here as Leafs fans, the regular season is very bleak. No matter how good things are, no matter how bad things are, when you see a regular season for this Leafs team, it's just like, well, what's going to happen in the playoffs? And for something this exciting to happen while this is going on, franchise records, it really can make a difference in the season and the vibe for the fan base, because we don't have to sit here and just feel like crap for 82 games being like, well, what's going to happen? At least there are some fun storylines. And even among that comes the fact that we have these two goaltenders who are playing at an elite level right now. Ilya Samsonov goes off for a shutout here tonight, his first of the season, the second Leaf shutout of the year, and it comes on the heels of a Matt Murray shutout, which was statistically it was statistically the greatest goaltending performance in an NHL shutout in history. Like, incredible. And Ilya Samsonov here tonight, 29 saves to get the shutout. He goes to 7-2 on the year. It brings a different vibe to the team. It makes everything feel a whole lot different. It becomes more fun, and you're even looking at it. It's like, it's something that for a period of time was very concerning was, wow, we're going to be without Morgan Rielly, TJ Brody, Jake Muzzin, Jordy Ben went down, Victor Mete goes down the last game. It's defensemen are dropping like flies. And then you get all these young kids who come in here and they just play, and like, for lack of better words, they play a good hockey game. They come in here, they play smart, they play responsible, they don't play outside of their means, and it helps push this Leafs team. But I think above all else, and one thing it's really starting to show me is this Leafs team, 8-2-0. Hurt Locker 66 is correcting me. Apologies. Yeah, 8-2 for Samsonov. One thing it's really starting to show me with this Leafs team is they're very good team defense. Like, this team defense is very good. The way that they play, the way that they limit opportunities, the way that they construct things. Like, I'm looking at this deserve to win a meter here tonight. The Leafs are well above. It's closing around 88% deserve to win. Like, they dominated this game against the LA Kings here tonight, limiting high danger opportunities, limiting chances for the LA Kings, even in like lacking scoring chances on 2-on-1s and odd man rushes. Like, they don't give those up as frequently anymore because there seems to be a buy-in. It is being a very, very nice thing to see from this team, because it's something we've missed before where it's like, well, Nylander floats and Marner doesn't participate in this. And I mean, he got kicked out tonight, but like Engvall only does certain things. Like, there's all these other little things. And Rick Ryan saying in the chat, like, back checking, no cherry picking. That is what is going on. Like, this is what's happening. And you can sit, and in years past, you could easily sit here and say, yeah, this Leafs team, like, they're winning, they're going to continue to win, they're going to score a lot of points, but they're not doing it the right way. Like, this isn't the right way to win a game. This season, at least on this stretch that they've been on for the past month plus, this is the right way to win hockey games. You play strong defensively, you have good goaltending, and you have star players that, my God, they play like star players. Mitch Marner tonight was dancing around. That second period was incredible. His goal that he scored, I mean, the goal itself, amazing, but we cannot quickly overlook the play that he made to John Tavares in the slot before that. He was ripping around that line, hemmed the other team in their zone to create some opportunities, keep them in there down low. Mitch Marner falls down. He's on his ass, stick handling the puck, saucer pass out front, right to Johnny T, who buries it, or who fires it like 10 feet high, it looked like on the camera. But then it comes back around, they regroup, Mitch Marner comes in, 1T, buries it. And it's like, that's the way that they're playing. Like, hem you in, create an opportunity. Okay, maybe you don't score, but now you have some type of momentum. Now you have an opportunity to create chances and create goals, and then that wears on the other team mentally and physically because they're seeing you come back at them time and time and time again. Even like thinking about that Marner opportunity where he passes it out to JT, they're sitting there basically praying that this gets out of the zone. They see Mitch Marner fall down. It's a moment of like, all right, we might be out of this. Beautiful pass to John Tavares, prime scoring opportunity. It goes out of the zone. Okay, we're going to be fine. Within 5 seconds, Mitch Marner clears out of the zone, gets his feet back onside, comes back in, one-timer, and even Mitch Marner didn't know he could shoot the puck that hard. There's all these little nuances to this team right now that are going on that are setting them aside from teams we've seen in the past, from Leafs teams we've seen in the past. I should correct myself. There's little things that they're doing that are differentiating, and it's making it much more enjoyable and a little bit more of a calming factor. If you guys are here right now and you have not hit subscribe on this channel, please make sure you do so. I mean, we are almost at 3,000 subscribers here. I believe the last time I checked, we were about 40 away. Yeah, 47 subscribers, 37 subscribers away. So if you guys smash that like button, hit subscribe on this channel if you haven't already, that would be greatly appreciated. You can turn on notifications as well just by clicking that little bell that's there. You guys will get notified every single time we go live and every time videos are posted breaking things down that happen with this team. Now, let's start with TJ Brodie coming back into the lineup here tonight. TJ Brodie basically just came in and just was very quiet, did things well, didn't do too much. He looked pretty good. I don't have very much to say in regards to TJ Brodie here tonight. It's just kind of nice to be able to see him come back. And you know what's also a nice thing? It's nice to see him be able to play alongside Connor Timmins. And Connor Timmins, I sat there and was like, I got no problems with this guy. 15:36 of ice time for Connor Timmins, 17:27 for TJ Brodie. Brodie ends up going with 4 blocked shots. Timmins has a block shot. He had 4 hits. He's not going to blow anybody up, but he also has an assist, goes +1, and 4 hits on the night. Like, that is just, these are little calming factors where it's like, all right, we got guys who can just fit into this lineup and play. Let's do the small things. Let's do the little things right and be very good at those. And then we've got the big boys to be superstars. The greatest thing that I heard the other day, actually, I believe it was today, I was listening to Shane Doan talking about Scott Niedermayer. And he said he had asked Scott Niedermayer why or how he was so great, like what made him as good as he was. And Scott Niedermayer's response was, I was extraordinary at the ordinary. And now, Scott Niedermayer was an extraordinary player. There's a reason that he's in the Hall of Fame. But I kind of resonated with the sentiment in terms of the way that a team should play. The Tampa Bay Lightning, the Colorado Avalanche, over the past few seasons, have been extraordinary at the ordinary. And what I mean by that is they do the little things right, but they do them extremely well. Can you do the little things very well? Can you block shots? Can you close gaps? Can you finish plays? Can you limit odd man rushes? Can you make tape-to-tape passes? If you can start to check off those boxes of the ordinary things that should go on in a hockey game. Now, there's going to be mistakes. I'm not sitting here pretending like that won't happen. There's going to be mistakes. But can you be very good at the little things that go into the hockey game, that go into a successful hockey team? Can you be very good at those things? We have yet to see this for a Leafs team over an extended period of time. But during this period right now, they have been extraordinary at the ordinary. You don't need to rely on Matthews and Marner and JT and Nylander to outscore the opposition every single night because you're allowing 4, 5, 6 goals and you need to win 7-5, 6-5, like 9-6. You don't need to win those shootout games. This Leafs team has kind of transitioned to a point where they are becoming extraordinary at just playing defense. Can you cover guys in the defensive zone? Can you pick guys up through the neutral zone? They're doing that. Can you make solid breakout passes? One thing that used to infuriate me watching the Leafs was I always got frustrated by the fact that the other team always seemed very capable of breaking out of their zone, and the Leafs did not. Now, that's not to say it's the team this year. It's just a general feel of what I've used to see from the Leafs team. I don't feel like that anymore. When the Leafs get the puck behind the net, or their forwards pick it up down low, or the puck's along the boards, it no longer feels like the majority of the time the puck is being stopped and turned back around into the zone. It feels like at bare minimum, there's an opportunity for that puck to escape to the neutral zone, which now that doesn't always mean it's successful and you've transitioned the puck out and you're going to be possessing it. But what it does mean is that the other team has to go to the neutral zone and regroup. Sometimes that's a win. Sometimes you're hemmed in and you just need to get the puck out. Then you can get some guys off the ice, get some fresh legs. Some of that stuff is very important. Super chat here from Joe Hill. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat. Joe saying, just watching players shut down lanes and score 3 goals in 1 minute, I'll admit, got me misty. Great hockey these last 2 games. Yes, it has been. And it hasn't just been the last 2 games, right? Like this has been an extended run of doing this and doing the little things. Because I will say that Leafs teams of years past, maybe not as much last year because I think they were stronger defensively, but Leafs teams of years past, you get in a position where you have this many defensemen out of the lineup and that many important defensemen. Like you're not talking about losing your 5-6, your 4. You're talking about losing 1, 2. I mean, you lost 5, you lost 6, you lost 7. Like, years past, it would have turned into a track meet. Who can score more goals? It's what the Edmonton Oilers have to do right now, every single night. It's why Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have to play 30 minutes a night. They're not in that position right now. They're not in that position right now. They're doing the right things. And as Joe said, shutting down lanes. Have the ability to turn it on quickly. That's what they've done. That's what they've had. It's been very, very nice to see out of this Leafs team. See them being able to get that done. All right. Now, the other thing. It is important about... actually, you know what? Before we get into that, because there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. I can feel that coming. But one thing... regardless of what you think about what Pierre-Engvall did, we can talk about this a little bit. Fully deserving of 5-minute penalty, fully deserving of being kicked out of the game. It's whatever. It is like, it's just dumb. You got to be, even if he didn't mean to, you got to be careful with your stick. I know his thing is after the game is all like definitely going to be like, oh, I didn't mean to, it was an accident, like didn't mean to slash him over the head. For sure, he's going to say that. He's going to get a look by the league. He should, because you tomahawked a guy over the dome. But this is one thing that was kind of a, whoa, wait a minute moment for me. Scotiabank obviously started booing Sean Durzi every single time he touched the puck. It's not surprising that fans will get involved and get on a player like that. Or the way that they did. It's not surprising. What was a little bit surprising was that every single time the Leafs caused the turnover on that 5-minute penalty, what was surprising was that every time Sean Durzi lost the puck, every time he made a mistake, every time the Leafs dumped it out of the zone, the entire Leafs bench was standing on their feet banging the boards. It wasn't one time. It wasn't twice. It was a good 5, 6, 7 times. It was one of those moments that it kind of was like, I think this team just cares more than they used to. I think that there's more of a buy-in. And now this is obviously a small point in the grand scheme of things, especially in comparison to it's game 28 of the regular season. But the fact that they bought into that, the fact that the Leafs team got so fired up, all of them, maybe chirping, maybe just trying to get a raz, that's something you would never have seen out of this Leafs team before. That's not something you would have ever seen them do. Maybe one guy, two guys, maybe Bunting would do it. I don't know if Zach Aston-Reese is the kind of guy who would do it. But you would get not much out of them. This was a full-blown team buy-in every time that happened. And it was one of those emotional moments in terms of everyone kind of has an opportunity to bond on that. That's something that they get on the plane if they were to go on a road trip after, and everyone's like, you see that idiot, this guy, Sean Durzi doing this, he's diving, hilarious, he lost the puck every time, 200 plus people in the crowd, ha ha ha, and you get on the guy because everyone bought in. Whereas in years past, it's probably just whatever, move on. And you can say what you want about it in terms of, oh, that's dumb. I get it if people think that's dumb. It's just more of a bigger picture type situation, not necessarily an in the moment thing. Because this was a buy-in. And that Leafs team, whether you agree with it or not, in some sense of the word, they had Pierre Engvall's back there against Sean Durzi. I think he deserved to be kicked out of the game, Engvall. He tomahawked the dude over the head. But the team buying in every time. Bunting standing up, chirping at him, stealing the puck off him, not letting him get any opportunities. It was one of those ones where the whole team kind of just bought in. The whole team said, yeah, we got this guy's back, and a big FU to Sean Durzi there. All right, let's discuss what happened here tonight as far as the injuries, because this team did end up going down to 10 players, especially after Pierre Engvall got kicked out of the game. And also, if anyone wants to call in here tonight, make sure to join the Discord. You can join the Leafs Digest Discord. I will send the invite link into the description, and if anyone, or into the chat, and I will also make sure it's updated in the description. But if anyone wants to call in, you guys can message me on Discord, and I will send you the link there to join the Zoom call to call in here tonight. But actually, before we even get into that injury, I have a super chat here from Joe Hill. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat. Greatly appreciated as always. Joe saying, Mitch Marner is the heart and soul of that team. When he's having fun, they have fun. I think we're seeing that. I don't disagree. I think part of what the beef was with him, for me at least early, part of what some of the problem Goodies had with him, and I think a lot of fans do, is that you're correct. And it's almost too much sometimes. Now, I don't want to get into the dark, gloomy side of it right now, because this is definitely not something where we want to get into here tonight. This is happy, positive vibes. But the problem with what you're saying, Joe, is that on the other end of it, if he gets to the point where he's so down, it drags everything else down. When this Leafs team was in the position where it was like, oh man, everything is gloomy, you're right. And that's part of the problem where it's like, all right, dude, your ups can be ups very, very high and you drag everyone with you, but your downs, you got to find a way to not let them down as low as you can. I see RJWI saying, Rob saying, Zach hated that he acts like a spoiled kid. Like, yes, that is part of the problem, right? Where it's like, he can just have such low lows that it all of a sudden just melts some of that energy. So I'm fine with him being the nucleus of it. I'm fine with him being in the position where he's the guy who can bring up the energy. He's the guy that the team can rally around and can have that happy, fun energy, because when he's going, man, he's going and the rest of the team's coming along with him. It's just, can you eliminate the lulls being so damn bad? Because some guys around the league, if they go into lulls, it becomes like, oh my God, that guy's pissed at his game. Like, let's battle for him. Let's battle with him. Sometimes when Marner gets into the position where his game gets down and he gets down on himself, it just becomes very evident. It becomes very public. The media's on it. It's in the Toronto fan base, in the Toronto Star, in the paper tomorrow morning, and it says, like, little Mitchie cries or something like that, and then all of a sudden it's his family sending him photos of the paper and the team's all of a sudden in distraught. So can you just eliminate that low end of things? All right, got a caller on the line here. Joe, haven't been able to call in since, I guess, like the beginning of the year, I think it was. How's it going?
Zach, how are you?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. This is a pretty good, fun game to watch.
Well, let me start out by saying that I'm sorry for being so hard on you last episode there. I know you and I talked offline, but I just want everyone to know that Zach and I are all good. We
Yeah.
both get really passionate about hockey, and that's all it really is to it sometimes. And I really appreciate your takes on things. So I just wanted to say that publicly, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh,
So,
well,
but
yeah,
yeah,
thank you. You didn't need to say it, but yes, yeah. And like, again, I apologize as well. Yeah, it had nothing to do, it wasn't you personally, it was more just like where we were at in the conversation of things and what we've had to deal with so far throughout the year. It was like, man, we're doing this again.
yeah, I completely agree. And but tonight, and I think last game specifically for me, um, tonight we have the deserved winometer going our way, and that's great. And the other, on Tuesday it wasn't going our way. We only won 15% of the time, which is a little bit confusing to me because I didn't see much difference in our play tonight versus on Tuesday. I think it's just that Tuesday we played a better team. There was more shots for Dallas, obviously, but at the same time, just seeing back-to-back shutouts and 3 goals scored within a minute. I mean, that's special shit right there, and that makes me. It just kind of gets you kind of giddy about the team, about the buy-in. I agree with what you're saying about there's a pro and con to Marner being a leader of the team, and that is when he's down, I think the boys are down. And he needs to work on that more. But I think he's doing the right things. He stays off of social media. He doesn't talk to his dad when his dad gets negative.
Yeah.
Things that we see in interviews. And I know that it might sound silly, but parents have a big effect on people, especially when they're 25 years old. You want the approval of folks. And if you're not getting it, that can be very alienating and kind of it'll get in your head.
Well, he is
So
in a
I'm
special
happy.
position too, where he's sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just quickly, like,
Oh, yeah,
he's the Toronto kid. Like, he's the Toronto kid. He's from
he
here.
really
This is his
is.
team.
He knows the market so well,
Yeah.
and I think with some people on Twitter, that I dialogue with back in October or even August and September, they're like, trade Marner now. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I think it's because the Toronto market, and even though I'm out of it now, I don't live there, but I still have friends up there and everything. It's just very, very short-sighted. And I think any hockey market is. We want what's going to win us games, and it goes by so fast, these windows of greatness, that we don't want to waste them, right? And this goes back to what you and I were talking about having to trade good players to get another good player, right?
Yeah.
And that's anyway, I feel like I'm going off track, and I apologize, but it's just
No, you're
I'm
okay.
just kind of hyped. I'm just kind of hyped about the game tonight, so it's very nice change of pace. So
Yeah, 100%. And I do just want to touch on something Rob said, RJWI said in the chat, and he's right. Just in terms of why the deserve to win meter was what it was in the Dallas game, Toronto did have those extended penalty kills that they had. And it was less so about the number of chances, I think, and more about the quality of chances that were faced. Hence why Murray ends up with statistically like the greatest shutout of all time or whatever it ends up being. I think it's just like the shot chances that were created by Dallas, especially because of the power plays that they had, end up kind of really adding up and increasing that number. That's I think what it has to do with there.
yeah, that's a good point. I sometimes when it comes to stats, I can be a little bit weak because the number of calculations that are going into that one specific stat, like the goals against or goals above save percentage, or something like that,
Yeah.
that Murray set the record for the other night. You're like, wow, what are all the
Yeah,
variables
like
going
this
into
is
this
great, but
code?
what does this mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, I mean, that's hey, record, yay, do a shot. But it's like one of those things where I think tonight, especially, it really he's right on that. And it's like we faced what 7 or 8 penalty kills on Tuesday, and tonight we faced a big one with Pierre Ingval. But other than that, it was only like 1 or 2 others. So I don't think it was that. And even then, here's the great thing about great goaltending. Do you feel worried going into power plays now, like going into penalty kill, like you have in the
Oh,
past?
no.
I do not
Because
either.
yeah, it's that like comforting factor where, hey, you're on the penalty kill. Guess what? You're likely going to give up a more high danger chance than you are at 5-on-5 because you're 5-on-4. Like that's the nature of the game.
Right.
But you're in a position now where it's like you've got these goalies back there who they're making saves that even sometimes they probably like air quotes shouldn't, right? Because
Yeah.
they're making that extra save, that goal above expected. They're making that one where it's like that one should probably have gone in, but you made an incredible save where, hey, you limit those. Guess what? That guy's going to make that save more often than not now because of how well they're playing and the confidence that they're playing with.
I really hate to admit it, and I say this every single time. It's with the caveat that I love Jack Campbell. I do. I love Jack Campbell.
Yep.
I enjoyed Freddie Anderson because Freddie played down here in Norfolk where I live when he was in the AHL, and I really liked him down here too before he went to the Ducks. So I love those 2 goalies and followed them very closely for a long time because I was a goalie too. But the tandem that we have right now, even the trio that we have right now, is far superior to anything we've seen probably in the last 15 years, if we're being honest. And
Mm-hmm.
it's starting to show. I know it's a limited run and it's only about 20 games that we've seen, but in that time, it has inspired a lot more confidence in the boys, I think, and especially in the fans as well. Because I remember going into penalty kills last year and just going, oh shit, because I just wasn't sure. What are we going to get? Are we going to get when Jack stands on his head, or are we going to get where Jack lets through 3 muffins in a row and we have to
Yeah.
play catch up, right?
Yeah.
So that's in a game like this tonight. This is why the guys can play up to teams now, I think, and play down to teams without letting in a bunch of muffins that they have to play catch up and then get goalied. I think that says a lot about the style of play as well. Just having solid goaltending really does make a big difference even when we only have 5 or 6 D-men right now. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, and to your point too, like I do a show Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. It's an NHL betting show every morning, and the guys that I'm on there with, they're professional bettors. So like these models that you see with these overly analytical models that come on and you see like, oh, here's the deserve to win a meter or like predictors of success and all that stuff. You can go on a game and find out what the probability of that team winning is in that matchup before the game even happens. Like these guys build stuff off of that, and it has to do with who's playing, who's not, how do these matchups work, who's in net, all that kind of stuff. It's built in. They're all saying right now, just to like bring it back to just normal watching hockey, is like the difference between Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov is basically nil. Like you're basically like, okay, who's in net tonight? If you're gonna go from Vasilevsky to Brian Elliott, well, guess what? That's a major drop off. Tampa Bay is gonna play incredible in front of them. They're gonna play the same way, but they're probably gonna allow 1 or 2 more goals that maybe they wouldn't otherwise. That's not the case that you're having here in Toronto. You roll one of these guys out there. I mean, Jesus, knock on wood as much as you possibly can. But right now, like, I don't care who's in net. I don't. Just keep rolling, man. Switch every other game if you've got to. Sheldon Keefe put Matt Murray in there against Dallas for one reason only, because he knew Matt Murray was probably a little shaken up after that goal against Tampa in overtime. He had played an incredible game for 60 minutes. 60 minutes and 29 seconds. And he had a 2-second blip that allowed Alex Killorn to score that goal, and it was a bad one, and he probably walks away and is like, oh my God, I'm going to beat myself up over this. And Sheldon Keefe says, you know what? You're going back in the net on Tuesday against Dallas. And he puts up the performance of a lifetime. Well, you know how he's feeling after he walks out of that game? Like he's a god. Like he's walking out of there, like he's walking on clouds. And then he probably doesn't give a damn that Samsonov goes in the net here tonight. Because he's exactly like, I don't care. Like, I just put up an incredible performance. Samsonov's going to go in there. Matt Murray probably, I'm strictly speculating, but he's like, whatever, that guy's going to go in there. He's going to dominate. And you know what's going to happen Saturday night? I'm going to roll in there and I'm going to dominate. Whereas, like, Sheldon Keefe has kind of figured this out, like this little mental game of how to play it with these goalies, because they both kind of seem like they don't really care who's in net as long as they're going to go in there and just be incredible. And like, you're looking at this situation.
It's kind of what we saw with Ullmark and Swayman last year, right? The two of those, and they're good. They're a good tandem in the fact that they're friends and they get along and it's fun to watch. But they're also really good goalies, and one doesn't have to be subservient to the other. You know, that's the great thing about 1A, 1B thing. And you and I talked about this at the beginning of the season as well, when we were like, who's going to get the starting goalie position? I was like, I think Murray, and you're like, I think Sammy. And then I think you also said that it was a 1A, 1B situation. And I think that was very wise of you, because that's something that I think works. And Murray comes off those 2 games, right? And against 2 of the toughest teams in the league, 1 overtime loss and one win, 1 huge shutout. And you can be feeling pretty confident going up against Calgary on Saturday, or the Ducks, on Tuesday, or whatever game he's going to be in. Mm-hmm. So I think that's good. So
yeah, because you're basically looking at it like, oh, this isn't our backup goalie game. It's like, no. Well, we're just rolling out a goalie. Like, we're just gonna play this hockey the same way. Like, just go play hockey. Not like,
why mess with your goalie's head if you don't have to? You know what I mean? Let them be what they're going to be. And Matt Murray's a pro, as is Samsonov, right? They're both pros. I mean, Samsonov got yelled at by, what's his name? By Ovi many, many times, right? I mean, if you get yelled at by Ovechkin a few times, that's gonna give you some thicker skin, right? And so, especially in Russian, when I was saying he was yelling at him. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, I think that's I interrupted you too, so I apologize. But yeah, I mean, that's just what I'm thinking. As you never want to have a goalie think that he's being subservient or that he's being punished or anything else like that. It's just a weird headspace to have to be in all the time for everything riding on your shoulders. And if you can make it like Keith has made it, it's a lot more easy breezy. And I really dig that vibe. And you can see that on their faces too, in the way they play, I think. So
yeah, I would agree 100%. Okay, so We did get to see some depth scoring here tonight. We see David Kampf get a goal. We see Pierre Engvall get a goal. It's kind of nice to see out of those guys. I have a thought on Alex Kerfoot here. It's not a let's trade this guy thought. Like, you can all make your speculations in the chat as much as you'd like. I think I noticed something here tonight, and maybe this is just a very delayed thought on this, and maybe it's something that's been going on for a while, but it kind of just clicked to me here tonight, so I wanted to bring it up. I think Alex Kerfoot is lacking confidence right now. I don't think there's necessarily something that should have taken that away, unless maybe it's what happened last year in the playoffs against Tampa when it was the combination of the penalty and then the turnover. And maybe that's in his head and he feels like he's got to kind of overcompensate for it or something. But I'm starting to think that this is like a lack of confidence thing and not necessarily like this guy sucks. And now I've always been a person who has come on here and at least defended him in terms of he's the kind of guy you probably need. There's two pieces that are wrong with it. One, he makes too much money for what he does. I will say that 100%. And two is that no matter what you ever want to say about Alex Kerfoot, he could be playing honestly above his $3.5 million contract. He could be exceeding it and bringing you more value on that. But the one thing that's always, always, always forever going to be in the back of Leafs fans' minds and is always going to bring him down and diminish some of the value he has, he was the guy that was in the Nazem Kadri trade, and he's the guy who's still here. And that's always going to have some type of screw this guy sentiment for Leafs fans, because Kadri went on and he played incredible in Colorado and he got a Stanley Cup, and he was a guy who for like 3/4 of the season was a Hart Trophy candidate. So I think that that's just tied in with Kerfoot there, where it's always going to be that. It's just my point on the Kerfoot situation is I think that he's making some of these decisions and doing these things and having these turnovers, and like I think it's just he just doesn't trust himself right now and he thinks he can't do it. And it was very evident. Remember that play? I can't remember who it was that they're playing against, but it might have been Pittsburgh, where he walked down the middle and he basically was in a great position to shoot between the top of the circles, and he tried to dish a backhand pass to John Tavares way off to the side, and it gets picked off, goes the other way. He kind of did a similar thing here tonight where he was on an odd man rush, and rather than maybe just shooting or making the pass earlier, he kind of second guesses it. He fumbles it a little bit, then forces the pass. It gets picked off. And that was the moment to me where I was like, this guy doesn't trust himself to just be the guy to shoot it right now. Whereas I think he would have before. So that's my thought on him.
Yeah, I think he's being on the third line solidly this year, as opposed to like the third or the second or the first or back to the fourth. Now he's on the third again. You know, he was a Swiss Army player last year.
Yeah.
And I think when that gets taken away, because you are filling in those gaps pretty well, it's like, okay, well, this is where you're at right now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I wholeheartedly agree with you that I think it's a confidence issue, but it's a slump, and it's the beginning of December. And he has 2 assists now in the last 2 games.
It's a 3-month slump.
You know, and he's a 50-point per year player solidly. You know, he's not a streaky player by any means. He is a solid guy, which is why I'd be happy if he was on David Kamp's salary, 1.5 or something to that effect.
Yeah. Perfect. Nobody would say a word about it.
Perfect. It'd be perfect, right? He'd be a steal. He'd be a Michael Bunting level steal, right?
Yeah.
But I think the same thing is happening with Bunting this year. We're not seeing the amount of play yet out of him that we saw in the last years. And
now, mind you, he's on a 7-game assist streak right now.
He is right, and that's what we love about him. And I love that he chirps. He's our Scarborough boy. I love him. But I think it's the same thing with David Kampf. He's on the fourth line this year. Is he scoring nearly as much as he was with the Andre Kasha and him tandem? No. And let's be honest, when Kadri went out in the playoffs for a second year in a row and did that same shit, everybody was calling for his head. Anybody who said they're not calling for his head is a liar. Okay. Everybody was saying fire him, get rid of him. And I think that Dubas was in that camp, right? And he went to Colorado, and what did he do the first year he was in Colorado? The same exact thing that he did with us 2 years in a row in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't
exactly.
until he got married, he had a kid, he grew up a little bit. It was like night and day from the first year he was on Colorado to the second year he was on Colorado.
Yeah.
and he grew up. I think the same thing's going to happen sometimes with some of these guys that we just like, where are they? Why haven't they figured it out yet? Why are they in a slump? Some of these guys are 25, 26 years old, and I'm not talking down to that. It's just they're just coming into themselves and who they are, where it's not just that they're a hockey player, right? They
Yep.
are a hockey player plus, you know, plus whoever they are off the ice. You see that with John Tavares. You see that with Matt Murray right now, who's 28. You see that with Austin Matthews and Mitch right now, they're 25, 26-year-old time frame. So I don't know, man. I think that honestly, again, Kerfoot is a pro. He's a very good player. If he can take one or two, it's like, no, fuck you, it's mine now. Um, I think that's going to get him over the hump. Just like we saw Austin score when he just turned and burned in like the Pittsburgh game, I think, and just like let out that huge scream, like like that. You're like, oh no, this is gonna be bad for the other teams now.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like it just finally something cracked open, and we've seen him score, a lot since then. So uh, I'm saying all of this to agree with you, but I think that Kerfoot is just trying to figure out who he is as a third line player, as opposed to and playing with new guys too, like Yarn Crook and other guys who he's not quite as familiar with. So we'll
Yep.
see.
Um, okay, so also just want to remind everyone right now, if you are watching, you have not hit subscribe or the like button, please make sure to do so right now. We got 140 people watching, only 46 likes on this stream. So if you guys could hit that like button, hit subscribe, that would be appreciated. Joe, I'm going to get to your play of the day, so we'll do that. But before we do that, is there anything else that stuck out to you here? Is there anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on what you and I were talking about after the show on Tuesday, which was long-term thinking with players versus short-term thinking, right?
Right.
Because we all want that quick fix, and we have players now that are at a level that we can get that quick fix. And what I think part of the miscommunication that you and I were having was we want to offload as much stuff as we can to get a good player,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes that's just not going to happen. And from your perspective, you were right on that. So sometimes we just have to be willing to give something else up that's big. And so, that Brody trade, um, or even a Yarn Cook trade or something to that effect, somebody with a no move clause. Um, the biggest key I think here that we need to be thinking about as well is the D seems to be fine
Yes.
right now. So trading for a big D man right now, like a Carlson or something like that, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Going just from the last 10 games alone, just seeing that sample size, it doesn't make much sense to me to get another D man, especially if we get Riley back or something else like that. People will complain about Riley, but I think when Riley comes off of injury, he tends to come back way stronger than he did before. Something about watching the boys play from the press box seems to light a fire in them, and I think that's a good thing. Um, but finding a left winger or a center that's going to be way more solid, I think, is going that can take over the third line, maybe from Kerfoot. That to me, with that's maybe 5 to 6 million range, I think would be perfect for us. Um, Obviously, that's probably going to happen at the deadline. If it can happen before though, so we can get through the doldrums of January and February, I think that'd be great. I just went back to the drawing board and I was just trying to get around guys like who are the obvious ones right now that everyone's talking about, and just keeps coming back to Meyer for me.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I just really like that player, but
Yeah, same.
I wanted to know what your thoughts were on something like that, maybe in the 5 to 6 range, where we don't have to move. Maybe we can move in like a three-way trade. We can move two guys who aren't as strong, but would do some good on another team, so we can free up the amount of contract space we need in order to get that, you know, 51st contract. And if we can get rid of two guys, that goes on the obviously 48, and then he'd be the 49th man. I was just
Yeah.
wondering what your thoughts might be on something like that.
Yes, so I would agree on price. I think we're probably looking around the same guy, same cost of player. I disagree with you in terms of where they would be in the lineup. I think that they're
Okay.
going to look for a guy to go into the top six. and push someone in the top 6 down. And I think that that would be the improvement on the third line slash fourth line, is that someone from upper would come down and then they would go exterior to get the guy into the top 6. I think that that would be I think that that would be where I would be looking. I think that might be where they're going to be looking here.
Yeah.
So I just disagree a little bit, but
I know that Ingval scored tonight, but he would be number one on my chopping block list. Only
yeah,
because he's so big, he's young. He has the passion, he does, but it just seems like I think he needs to find another spot on another team that he can truly flourish. And it'd be a shame to get rid of him, but he's just one guy at what, like 2 million a year or something to the effect that he's making right now.
yes.
Would be a good move. If it's one for one, even if it's not one for one. I hate to put Kerfoot on the chopping block. I don't think that we should necessarily. I think we should put somebody like Yarncrook up there, or even Jordy Ben or something where somebody's looking where they obviously are dynamic and they're good, but I just don't hear their name every single night. But they're good enough to make eyebrows raise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Ingval plus one like that, I think would be the perfect trade, and we wouldn't have to give up picks, which makes me happy.
So the guy that I think would get moved down actually is Yarncrook, and I think that they would see him as being the upgrade to the third line, where he would be the guy to slide down and help them, because I think he would probably be better suited in that role if he can get there and feel comfortable and get some chemistry going with those guys. He is a little bit cheaper than some of the guys as well, in terms of like even comparison straight up 1-to-1 of Kerfoot. He's cheaper than Kerfoot, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I still think we're probably looking at like the same player. I just think they're looking at the guy to fill a different spot than kind of what you had suggested. But I don't think it's like that. I don't think we're far off on it. I think we're probably actually just going to be looking at the same player. But yeah, I just
well,
see
I
them
mean,
fitting
everybody's
in
talking
there.
about Chikrin or other things like that, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I just don't see it. Honestly, although Arizona seems to be very friendly with us on trading, and other teams don't seem to be because we're facing off. Why would they help us? Where we might be potentially facing them in the finals, right? So, or in the playoffs themselves. So that rules out, like, the Atlantic is so tight, it's tough to get players to move both ways. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Arizona might be one where we pick their pockets for somebody. I wouldn't mind an Oiler Toronto trade, which would be interesting. There's Puljujärvi, or I don't think he has a. I don't think that he
I'll
has.
tell you right now, I would not be interested in him. I think he's just
No,
like, no. I don't know. I have concern. I have some real concerns with him. I kind of think he's probably just like,
he doesn't finish like Ingval doesn't finish, so that might be the frustration there.
yeah,
Um,
and I think he's got the same kind of dimensions to his game in terms of like he's not going to go out there and hit anybody. And the difference being, because I've caught the opportunity to watch some Edmonton games, um, he's not bought into like playing defense and killing penalties and stuff. So that's kind of,
he's kind of like JT Miller there, who just coasts. If everybody thought that Nylander coasted, holy crap, they should watch JT
I
Miller's game
think
because
JT
that
Miller
dude
just
coasts.
hates being in Vancouver right now.
I
It's not
I
an
think so
excuse, but
too.
like I think that's what's going on. I think he just is
Um,
like, get me the hell out of here. Like I have to be here based on my contract. Like I'm
but that's a
here.
potential line A situation where he could be great and he could be terrible for
Yes,
somebody.
for
Why?
sure.
That to me is just way too much risk. Way
For
too much
sure.
risk for a potential, because you can only go by what you see.
Yeah.
And past actions and integrity do matter. So
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to our grades of the game here, or our play of the day here. I'm interested to see what you have to say. And then I know Matthew wanted to call in after. So we'll get your play of the
yep.
day and then we'll get to Matthew after. So, play of the day. Um, I'll let you start on this one. Austin Matthews, play of the day. What stood out to you? What is your play of the day?
Um, right before the first goal, Zach Aston Reese put on a hell of a hit
Oh, yeah.
in the middle of the ice to get that puck going the other way. And I think that for me was one of the best defensive plays I've seen a Leaf put on for a long time. And he was, what's great about it is, he laid the hit down and we scored as a result. It's just, I mean, we see a lot of pickpocketing, we see a lot of closing down lanes, and that's all necessary. But to see a good hit with a guy with his eyes towards the ice, and we took advantage of that. We don't see that very often from a Leafs player. So that hit, which led to a goal, I think was my play of the game. I know that might sound silly to some, but I think it really got the momentum going, and that's all that mattered. So,
I'm having a little. I have like a million things that I want to give play of the day to here. I'm
Mitch's
just gonna.
goal is my second, but
yeah,
a very close second.
I think I'm gonna give it to Mitch's goal
ass.
because of the entire shift. It was like I mean I already broke it down earlier in the show, but it's like basically the Leafs team, the Leafs line out there was just dominating LA for a consistent period of time, hemmed them in their zone, was cycling the puck. LA couldn't get the puck back there, creating chances, and then it's like all of a sudden LA feels like they have a moment of relief where Mitch falls on his ass. And it's like, all right, we're gonna be fine here. And the guy's just sitting there, stick handling, and then fires a tape-to-tape saucer pass to a guy in the slot, wide open. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, okay. And then as it's ripping around, and then it rips up out of the zone, comes back. The Leafs D goes back and regroups. And I mean, credit to the other guys on the ice there too, because they immediately grabbed the puck and turned it back as LA was in a weird position trying to leave the zone and get some guys off the ice. Mitch just swoops out quickly, gets back on side. As soon as his feet touch over the blue line, he's back in and he rips the shot. And it was like, oh my God, what are we watching? And that was a cannon of a shot. It was just like, I was
listening to Joe Bowen on the radio and he just went, never mind, he scored,
Yeah, like
they were giggling about him being on his butt and then passing it in, and they're talking back and forth for a second, and then suddenly he's like, never mind, he scored. It's so great. So
that entire I don't know where you're at, and this is fully like a LeBron meme moment where it's like, yeah, I knew that was gonna happen or whatever, but like watching that shift was just like, all right, Mitch is getting that point tonight. I didn't think it was going to be on that shift, but it was like watching that shift was like he's feeling it. He's in the zone. Like even if nothing happens here, it's going to happen.
They're giving it after those 3 goals. They're like, it became obvious. All right, get Mitch, something. And so they had given it to him more than a couple times the shift before that. And I think, and then, it just became obvious, but he was only off. I think between those 2 shifts, I think for like a minute or 2, he just went right back on. They must have given him Mountain Dew or Red Bull or something, and that was that. But anyway, I interrupt you again. But I mean, that was such a fun goal. I mean, those 3 back-to-backs were just so amazing. So it was so great.
Yeah. So here's my honorable mentions. I just want to shout them out quickly. I saw in the chat here from Vincent Lee, Marner backcheck, the hustle with 2 minutes left on a 5-0 lead showed a lot to me. That was a sneaky moment. The William Nylander goal, Matthews driving up ice with a head of steam, just some of the plays he was making and even like the confidence he looked the puck. Then Willie goes up there, chips it past the defenseman, rips around him, grabs it on the other side. And when you watch it from the angle behind the net, just watch that. It is incredible. Yeah, because he basically does nothing, right? Like it's like he's doing nothing, but you watch that behind the net angle, my God, it's smooth. It was slow motion. It was incredible patience, but it was like that was what he was intending to do the whole time. Like he 110% did that on purpose. Like that was what he meant to do. And that was a beautiful goal.
It didn't have to be hit hard. It just took the momentum from the speed he was going at, and that's what went straight through Quick's legs, which shocked me. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, that's just how good it was. So yeah, absolutely.
And then the other one that I wanted to shout out as well is the Matthews goal. Bunting, self-pass off the boards, comes into the zone, gets 2 guys swarmed to him, passes the puck out of the pile to Nylander, where it's just a smart play, like your guy's there, chip it back out to him. Nylander as soon as he grabs the puck, he's not standing around, he's not floating, he drives down low, fast and powerful. And Nylander to me is a guy who just gets that rap of like, hey, he's not trying hard. But like, I can tell you, especially too, because I got to watch it in person from up close, was like, that guy, he is flying. And it doesn't look like he's doing much, but my God, he's working hard. He's hustling. He's into it physically. You can tell he's got an emotional buy-in here, and he is flying. It looks like he's not doing much. He's flying. I will tell you, like, honestly, it gave me a whole different appreciation for William Nylander. And then he drives down low, and that drop pass backhander to Matthews, and Matthews buries it, and he was like in a phone booth. And that was just a beautiful play, beautiful pass, a great finish. So there's that. And Austin Matthews just continues to rock and roll here. So that one gets some honorable mention for me.
I'm just so happy about seeing Willie really coming into his own this year. And he's always so quiet about it. You know what I mean? I don't hear him yelling on the ice for the puck like Mitch does, which is fine because I love the way Mitch communicates on the ice, you know, if the arena's quiet. But Willie is just like, he's kind of like this little elfin warrior. Just comes and you know, this blonde hair streaking, and he just somehow ends up with the puck and then it goes in, right? I mean, it's just really stealthy and just so good, and I think that's a real credit to him. But anyway,
all right.
So yeah.
Last thoughts before we let you go here. I appreciate you calling in, but one last thing, if you had anything to say to Leafs fans or anything before you go, or predictions or anything like that, what do you got to say?
I'm just saying to Leafs fans everywhere, you know, I have this little I keep tweeting out the picture of Ted Lasso pointing at the Believe sign, you know, above his door every night. And I think that's something that we should really be doing. Everybody's like, yeah, the playoffs and everything else. Enjoy the moment at present. That's all you can do. We can look to the future. We can look to the past. All you have right now, though, and I'm going to be very zen about it, is the moment right now. So that good feeling that you have coming off a win like this, enjoy it, because it's not always going to be there. But we have a good team at present. And I think that is, when you see them buying in, I hope that we all can buy in too, and just have a little bit more of a spine, a little bit less trepidation, and a lot more, you know, just a lot more cheering and yelling and having a good time with it, because that's what we need to do. So.
All right. I appreciate it. I appreciate you calling in, Joe. Thank you very much. Hopefully we get to see you soon. But thank you, and enjoy the Leafs game on Saturday.
Thanks again, Zach. Talk to you later.
No problem. See ya. All right, there you go. Joe Hill, legend in the chat, legend in the Leafs Digest community here. We do have another caller on the line, so we'll let him in. We'll get to hear Matthew's thoughts on the game tonight. Matthew Kolakowski, also active in the chat as well. Matthew will come in here, let us know his thoughts on tonight's game. But yeah, I mean, this is a really good one to get to watch this, to have watched this Leafs team, the way that they played here tonight, everything that went into it, and just the way that they won the game. It felt like they won the game the right way, and that is a great feeling. Like, that is something you can be proud of. Matthew, can you hear us here?
Yeah, question is, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Because I had an incident. I have to use my laptop audio. I forgot to lock my car last night. Some homeless guy went through my car and stole my headphones. So,
oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all good, but you know what? The Leafs make up for it tonight, man.
Yes, they do. We do have a super chat here, so I'll get you involved in this as well. But we have a super chat from Blake Clark. Thank you, Blake, for the super chat. Blake saying, thoughts on the Leafs' performance this year, 6 losses and only losing by 2 or less, and not to mention all the injuries. I'll start quickly on this. Thank you, Blake, for the super chat, but my thought is it's been incredible, because more than anything, they're not just winning games. Last year they won games and it was great. Like, it was nice to see that they were winning games, finding ways to win games. You got to find a way to win a game. They're not finding ways to win games. They're winning games because they're playing hockey the right way. They're winning games because they're a good hockey team, and they're built well, and they look like they're being coached well. Like, this Leafs team right now, they look like they're doing the right things night in and night out. So I've been pretty impressed with them so far this season. I think even in those games that they've lost, for the most part, they've kind of just kept it close. They've kept it. I mean, there was a couple games where it was pretty ugly. There was even some games early on where it looked like they were winning maybe the wrong way. But now, all of a sudden, and for most of this season so far, they've been winning the right way. Matthew, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I 100% agree. I sent the chat earlier, and it was basically like last year, if there's this exact same game in a vacuum, I think what happens is on that major penalty, the Leafs concede 2 goals. They end up winning the game 5-4, and we all go home feeling like crap.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You know, like they still won those games, but it was not nearly as dominant as it's been this year. And I think a lot of the kudos, Joe actually responded to the chat, and he said a lot of the credit for that has been the goaltending. I think we can't understate how good the goaltending's been. And we had that at stretches last year, but it feels different because yes, the save percentage early in the year for Campbell was great, and he had that great streak, but it didn't. I hate being that like guy who wants to just like look past the numbers, but watching the game.
There's a comment in the chat. This is all-time great comment. I'm still sorry about your headphones, but Taylor Osler just says in the chat, you guys should see the pair of headphones I found earlier.
Oh.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. I saw that.
No,
it was
hilarious.
Too good. It was too good.
It, dude. That's worth it. That's great, dude.
That's a good comment.
No, but you know what? If people are laughing, that's all right. The only thing we can do at that point. But yeah, like, I just the way the way Samsonov and Murray play, I think it's also part of their play styles. Campbell was very like fidgety, if that makes sense. I never felt like he was secure in a lot of ways, and I think that's why was honestly a career backup. I think he had two decent years with us, but like we're beating a dead bush here, but that 5x5 is looking horrendous.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I actually kind of agree with your point a little bit, and I think some of that became evident when it came out that he didn't feel confident with the fact that he didn't have a contract. I think that kind of puts some doubts in his head where he's like, oh, like, are they going to give me the contract? Am I going to be able to be the number one? Maybe that starts making him think, am I the number one, etc. Whereas I feel like Murray and Samsonov are both like, I'm a number one. Like,
yeah,
I should be a number one.
I think that's the biggest problem with Campbell is I hate saying this, but he's too nice, man, to be like that dog. He doesn't have that dog in him, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you're not wrong.
Like I'm sorry, but like every time I'm on the thing, I bring up when I played sports, but most of the times, like the guys that I played with who were like, whether it be soccer or hockey, the guys who were like really nice, they were never your go-to guys. It was always the dicks. The guys who were really mean, who like had a little bit of a arrogance about them, and like those were the guys you went to, and I think you need that. And honestly, I think you're seeing that. I think you're seeing that with the core. Like in years past, like William Nylander, I've never seen this guy look not angry this year. Versus last few years, there's been games where he's just like looks like he does not care. Mm-hmm. Versus this year, like even when he scores, he has this like flow about him where he's just like, yeah, I just did that to you. What are you gonna do about it, boy? You know, like.
Yeah, it's not. I would say it's not even like angry, but it's like before swagger. It kind of seemed. Yeah, yes, that's the word. It's swagger. Before he had like this little tinge of like he kind of looks uninterested.
Yeah.
Now it's like
I don't want to compare him to Ovi because obviously Ovi's a way better player, but like the way Ovi has that like kind of like arrogance about him, it's like
he just has
I see
that
a little bit.
je ne sais quoi. Isn't that what they
Exactly.
call
Yes.
it?
Yes. Yeah.
But no, yeah, like it's like that, like when he scores that goal tonight, that's an incredible goal. He steals it
Mhm.
off the guy, chips it past him, skates around, beats him with speed and strength, gets around the other side, makes an incredible move on quick, scores, and it's like that's my job. Like that's what I'm gonna do, and it's
Yeah.
not, in a oh yeah, I scored, like whatever, like I'm just gonna get out of here, just want to score goals and leave. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna try to do that again next shift
Yeah.
too.
What's up, bro? Like, what are you gonna
Yeah,
do about it? Kind of. Yeah.
yeah, agreed,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
okay, I want to talk a little bit with you about two guys who actually end up getting, well, they leave the game for different circumstances. So let's
Yes.
start with Nick Robertson. It says, I just saw the report. It says he's going to be out for an extended period of time. Uncertain how long exactly, but he's going to be out for an extended period of time here. What do you feel like this does or means for this Leafs team? Because now he's virtually untradeable. He also
Yeah.
can't be in the lineup. You're going to have to rely on some of these guys, maybe Steve, Sturg, and Chinsev, maybe Wayne Simmons to come into this lineup and have to play a little bit more because guys are going to get
Yeah.
pushed up because guess what? We also have Kalle Yarncroke out injured right now. So like
Yeah.
guys are going to get pushed through. They're going to get different opportunities, but what do you kind of make of that, whether it be opinions on Robertson or just how this team is going to have to respond? I don't think they're going to have a problem with it in terms of like success or creating offense, just more in terms of what do they do now? Where do they go?
It's tough. You you can't feel anything but bad for Robertson. I mean, the guy has just had the worst luck, whether it be because of the injuries or what it seems like Sheldon Keefe doesn't have faith in him and doesn't want to give him a chance. And I think he's just extremely snake bitten. And honestly, a lot of times when that kind of thing happens, I know you're saying, oh, his trade value is now through the floor, but Dubas has a streak of doing right by players, and I think if there is to be a trade, I think Robertson's still going to be in it. First of all, he's a young player. He can definitely rebound from something like this. And I think he's very talented, and perhaps a change of scenery really helps him. And honestly, from he seems like a good dude. So like if doing right by him by getting him traded in that sense, I don't think that a trade with Robertson as a part of the package is off the table. Obviously, now with the injury, it does lower his trade value, but I still see him as part of a trade package for a bigger player for a playoff push.
Yeah, I do too. I think my point is more like you're right. It's more like he's injured right now. Like
Yeah.
basically any team that's going to be trading for him is looking and going, this guy has suffered multiple injuries.
You have to trade him to a rebuilding team at this point. There's no
yes.
Right.
So it
Right.
kind of limits some of the options of like
Exactly.
who might take him and what those teams might be interested in coming back.
Because before it
the
could have
other
been
way.
like somebody on the brink of making the playoffs, but they have excess somewhere. They have excess toughness, but they need goal scoring, so you make that swap. But now that's not going to happen. It's going to like a I don't know, like I don't even want to say the Senators kind of team, more like the Columbus Blue Jackets or
Right.
your Ducks or those kinds of. Also, let's get back to like who do I think is going to be in the lineup now that this has happened. I think it's tough. I think Simmons gets another shout on the fourth line there, and then I guess you bump. Who do you even bump up at this point? Is it Kerfoot back on the second line? Like
Probably Kerfoot. I would
yeah.
think he might get it. A guy I think might get it, which would be very interesting, is Gino Malgin.
Yeah,
Malgin
that's
there.
true. Yeah,
I think there's
he
an
didn't look
opportunity for
bad.
him. Yeah.
He didn't look bad. I think he has that offense in his pocket. It just has to be maybe unlocked. I mean, playing extended minutes with Marner might definitely help unlock his offensive potential. Um, and then you mentioned SDA, and I frankly don't think he's NHL ready. From seeing him play the other night, he looks lost.
Yeah, I would disagree that he looked lost. He just didn't do anything. Like he wasn't really, in my opinion, at least he.
But it wasn't like a good. It wasn't like a good. He didn't do anything. Like Timmins didn't do anything, but it was a good. He didn't do anything. SDA,
Okay, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, he just wasn't really like a negative in my opinion.
Yeah.
I didn't think like SDA. But yes, do understand. I do understand what you're saying, where you're coming from with it. I don't know. I think Malgin would be the guy to get the top to go up. You might potentially have to bring two guys into the lineup next week or next game because
Engvall might be suspended, right?
Yeah. Who knows what'll happen with that? But I think that here's what they do. I think they go Malgin up to the first line. You gotta bring in someone else. Who else is available right now? SDA was called up, but he got sent back down right away. You could bring someone else up.
Just throw Petruzzelli in players' clothing and give him his debut. Like
you could go with.
You're already paying him. Like
I think Steves maybe. I think Steves could get an opportunity.
He's had a cup of coffee in the NHL already, so
yeah.
I think he's a good shout.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be very intriguing, to say the least. As far as the Pierre Engvall situation goes, what he did, what happened, do you have any thoughts on it?
I think it was honestly kind of like, what's that, like, you know that song where it's like I think if you played that over the whole situation, it would fit perfectly. Like just the Gong Show, man.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like it was like, okay, yes, he did, but then the way Durzi fell and like just like it didn't seem like Engvall really wanted to do that. Like he looked like he wanted to like F up Durzi, but like not hit him in the head. I mean, it's not on purpose, but you still can't do that. It's warranted to get a major. I don't know about a game misconduct, but I don't know how it works anymore. I think a major is an automatic misconduct, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, see, Mike Johnson too on the call was saying like it didn't look intentional or it didn't look violent. Like he wasn't like trying to like take his head off, but he smoked him over the head. Like
well, it's also it's like last year when Matthews got suspended. He didn't mean to hit him in the face, but he did.
Right.
So
yeah. I mean, so he might get something. I don't know. You know what? At the end of the day, I mean, if he meant to like smash him over the head, then that's obviously a different story. But
no, my favorite, honestly, we won 5-0, and somehow my sicko brain's favorite part of the game was when Bunting was making fun of Durzi.
Yeah. Do you know what he was doing? I've watched so many videos of it trying to figure out what was happening.
I think he was pointing to all the people that are in the stands for him. And he's like, look at the performance and stuff. I think that's what is going on.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. That's pretty good then. I respect that. I loved the Leafs team getting involved after that. And, like getting fired up on the bench and like everyone was involved. What?
I also like that towards the end, they didn't let themselves get sucked in a way. Because like I've been on both ends of beatings like that before. And when you're on the losing end of those, all you want to do is go rile some guy up and, you know, like make him take a penalty. And then you have something to laugh at. You have something to feel good about. And I remember being on the other end, on the winning end, and your coach is just like, guys, just like
stay out of it. No one get hurt.
And they did. They killed the game after all those shenanigans. They killed the 5-minute major, and that was it. There was nothing else, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, that penalty kill too was so much momentum. Well, yeah. But that penalty kill was so much momentum in terms of like turning it into a shutdown vibe. And and I say that because it was 30, 45 seconds into the first period, and all of a sudden you're down for 5 minutes here. LA has been killer on the power play over the last few games. They're 7 for 11. Like you're looking at a team that's basically got an opportunity here to go off for 5 minutes. And you shut it down. And from that point on, it was just suffocation by the Leafs. Like, they just said, no, like, that's it. That's enough.
Nah, we're going home. Like, just pack your shit, LA.
They didn't need to score more goals. They created more chances. They had some more opportunities after that, but it was basically just like, you know what it was too? This was a differentiating factor for me from years previous, is like years before you get up 5-0 and you are like, okay, we're 5-0, like take your foot off the gas.
Yep.
This Leafs team went into lockdown mode, but it wasn't without taking their foot off the pedal. It was like they started the first 80 laps of the 100-lap race just going full tilt as fast as they could, and they were going to pass everybody and be faster than everybody. And then the last 20 laps, they just drove full speed, but like checked their blind spots and checked the rear view mirror every 5 seconds, because they were like, all right, we're going to play smart the rest of the way here. We're just going to we're not going to do anything dumb to put us in harm's way or let this one get out of hand. And it was like that, hey, we're going to shut this down, but we're not taking our foot off the gas. Like our foot's staying firmly on your neck.
Like, I mean, I am a Leafs fan, so I saw 3-0 and then 4-0, and I was like getting just flashbacks, like literally like it was like, so like, I don't care how good they're playing. There was still that like that like back of my head, like they're gonna blow this, aren't they? Like, I'm just so scarred.
Yeah, you're basically like, yeah, this thing's not over. Like, let's not get the fireworks out yet, because it's not over.
But the thing is after the major penalty, I was like, yeah, this game's done. Like, honestly, after Keith challenged successfully, I was like, yeah, this game is over. They're not scoring on this power play. It's done.
Yeah, but yeah, and by the way, Sheldon Keefe, 10 for 11 on the season.
I saw that on Twitter, yeah.
10 for 11 on the year on challenges. Absolutely.
I know, I think that's
incredible.
lifetime.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, lifetime,
Yeah,
career.
He doesn't have 11 challenges.
Not on the year, yes. Career. 10 for 11. That is kudos to the Leafs video department. It is kudos to the assistant coaches.
Dude, they're quick, dude. Keefe. You see, as soon as that goal went in,
Manny Malhotra was in Keefe's ear being like, yo.
Bench. You can hear him on the broadcast. Bench.
Yeah. They knew that thing was offside the second it crossed the line. So, hey, good game from Leafs here tonight. Is there anything else that stood out to you about this game?
Honestly, like, what I like to do sometimes is just like to myself, I predict the scores before the games. And I predicted that the Leafs were going to lose 4-1 with an empty netter to the LA Kings. It was just too perfect. All of those guys coming back to Toronto, Sean Durzi the first time. And like, I was just like, they're not too hot right now. It's just so Leafs to do it. And they proved me completely wrong. And they've been doing that a lot this year, because sometimes I can be quite pessimistic with my pregame predictions, but they've just been proving me wrong consistently this year, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it has been very good so far. I just have a different vibe going into each one of these games, where it's like I feel comfortable, like some type of confidence, whereas before it was like you're going up against a certain team, or you've got a certain goalie in net, or you're missing players, like you're missing all of your defense. What kind of state are we going to be in here? What is the position we're going to have to take in this game? Yeah. And now it's just, it doesn't feel like that. It just does not feel like that. It's like every game, I don't care who we're playing, I feel like we have a shot. I feel like we have a chance in that game. And even above that, it's like, it's not even just a chance anymore. It's like, yeah, I think they're going to win. Like, I think they're going to win here tonight against this team. Some of it is a little bit difficult to maybe handicap and be like, all right, yeah, I feel comfortable. Maybe if you're going to bet on the game, like being like, I'm going to pay this price for the Leafs to win. Some of that is a little bit sketchy, but like, for the most part, I feel pretty comfortable that they're going to win on a nightly basis. And it doesn't matter who's in net or who they're playing against.
Also, unrelated note, remember that game against San Jose you went to?
Yes.
Yeah, so my girlfriend actually ended up winning tickets to that game, so I was at that game as well.
Oh, no way.
I was in the Ford fan deck thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was a good time, man. But honestly, I was so pissed because like the one game I finally get to go to, and it's like it was low key one of the most boring games of the year, man.
Yeah, it was it was. I was like in the first period, I was like it ended, and I'm like nothing happened. Like
At
there was
all.
two
That was the
breakaways on
most.
Samsonov. He made saves, but they weren't
Yeah,
incredible chances in terms of like the moves the guys made. Kudos to Samsonov for making the saves, but like
yeah,
nothing happened. And then it
like
was
at
like
all.
the second period was kind of slow. And then all of a sudden you go into the third period and then like some stuff started happening. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
here we go. Like at least we got
yeah,
something going on.
yeah. But the Engvall goal like erupted the building. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the Marner goal
Well,
erupted the
yeah,
building.
yes, that too. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, was definitely a fun game. Okay. Anything else that was sticking out to you here from tonight's game, or that you really want to talk about?
To the point of the not no foot off the gas thing. And I think it might be partly like the boys wanted Sammy to get a shutout, but I also saw it in the chat. I forget who it was. I apologize for that, but they did mention it. That in like the last 2 minutes, there was like that play where there was a rush going down, and then all out of nowhere, just from beyond the frame, Marner comes out and just like stick checks the guy and takes the puck away. It's a 5-0 game, 2 minutes left. I'm like, that's buying. That's the passion TM. Okay.
Yep.
And it's plays like that like like obviously I don't want to be rude, but like casual fans will like watch a game and like, oh, they want to watch goals and stuff, but like I'm a Leafs sicko. Okay, that's the kind of plays that I want to see. Those are Stanley Cup winning plays.
Yeah, that is the passion. That is for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our grades of the game before we wrap this thing up.
It's got to be an A+. I mean, there was maybe the power play one has been a little bit sleepy again, but come on, like that's the best game they played all year, and it's not even close.
It was kind of funny to see the second power play unit.
They're so good for no reason. They should not
Yeah,
be that good. They do not have enough talent to be that good.
yeah. Also, I see people in the chat. Wow, Rams 17-16 over Raiders. Yeah, I had Raiders. I had a bet
I
on the
do not
Raiders to
watch
win
America. I
tonight, so
can't
that is
stand
pain.
American football, dude. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
fair
that is the
enough.
most boring sport to watch, dude. Commercials every 2 minutes.
It is, and it's very slow. It is very slow. But yeah. So you're at an A+ here tonight for this game.
First time. You know me, I was always like hesitant to give the A+, but today was A+, man.
I think you know what? Let me just double check before I give this a grade. You know what?
It's on his calculator right now.
I'm going A+. I'm going A+. You're looking at this team, they came out and they played the right way. You're missing guys. You lost Mete in the last game. You do manage to get Brody back, but it's like you legitimately have you have Connor Timmins, who's playing his second game with this team in here. He looks calm. He looks comfortable. He looks confident back there. And Samsonov puts up a shutout. This penalty kill goes 3 for 3. They killed off some huge penalties. They kill off a 5-minute penalty. There was just things being done the right way. Austin Matthews looks like Austin Matthews again somehow. And it's like, I tweeted out during the game, I was like, Austin Matthews is starting to look like Austin Matthews again. And before he came into this game, he had 30 points in 27 games. Like, this guy was above point per game, and people were sitting there being like, he's not himself. Like, yeah, he's been incredible. He is starting to look like Austin Matthews. William Nylander has been a machine all year long. Our penalty kill is incredible. It's actually incredible.
It's unreal.
This penalty kill, it's doing exactly what it did last year. And guess what? You know who they're trusting to put out on the ice, which is a testament to him too? William Nylander in penalty killing situations.
Nylander's getting PK time. What is that?
Like, that is a guy who Leafs fans, for like a generalized statement, sat here and like cry about because it's like, oh, he doesn't play defense. The guy is killing penalties. He's killing penalties. He's playing physical, and it's a William Nylander physical, right? I don't want people to take that and be like, oh, well, he's not hitting or fighting people. Like, no, he's not. He's never going to do that. But you know what William Nylander is doing? He's winning battles. He's using his size, his speed. They're playing very strong defensively. They're using their skills to the best of their abilities, and they're playing hockey the right way, and they're winning games the right way right now. I think PP1 can use a little bit of work. I'm a little bit
we talked
skeptical
about it
here
time.
And there. Yeah, we've talked about it before, but second power play, you know what? They step in and they get it done. They get an opportunity and they score a goal.
What a snipe by Engvall, though.
What a snipe.
You think he's getting tips from Matthews or what? It literally looked Matthews-esque. Yeah,
that little pull inside shot. So I'm very happy with this team with that win here tonight. I'm gonna go with the A+. Back-to-back shoutouts for these guys. All right, Matthew, before you go, anything you want to say? I appreciate you calling in, but anything you want to say to Leafs fans, Leafs Digest, anything about this game, thoughts, feelings, anything at all, predictions, the floor is yours.
Man, I don't even know what else to say. Like, I'll just state the obvious, but the Marner clapper was crazy. I didn't know he had that in his locker.
Yeah, I did not either. He
smashed that puck like he had a vendetta. Man.
That was an incredible shot. I'm just happy with this team overall. I'm just happy with this team. All right, Matthew, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Happy to have you back anytime. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the chat as well, and enjoy the game on Saturday night.
Thank you, man. Peace.
All right. See you later. All right. There you have it. 2 great calls here tonight. Joe Hill, Matthew calling in, giving us their thoughts. If anyone ever wants to call in the future, they want to say anything, they have thoughts, feelings about the game, make sure to join the Discord. You guys can get in there with the link in the description or the link that was sent earlier in the chat. So make sure to do so. You guys can join our Discord. You call in at any point in these post games and let people know your thoughts, maybe some questions, comments, any concerns or anything like that you guys have. We will always take them here on this show. So thank you for all the continued support. We have 103 people here watching this, 77 likes. If you guys can smash that, get us to 85 likes by the end of this stream, get it all the way up there, 85. But recapping this game, I mean, we're looking at TJ Brody comes back. He looked pretty good here tonight. He basically flew under the radar and didn't do much, but I think that's kind of what you're looking for from a guy who's been away for a while and coming back into a team that's on a roll. Like, sometimes you get worried about that. Like, what's going to happen once these guys come back and the team is already rolling? How is that going to mesh? How is that going to blend? Looked pretty good here tonight, and he looked good alongside Connor Timmins. Connor Timmins shooting the puck, hitting guys. Like, he was doing some good things, I thought. Nick Robertson, I'll have a video come out as soon as I know what's going on there. Leafs Digest video to discuss that one. We can break that all down, but Nick Robertson had to leave the game here tonight. It looks like he's got a shoulder injury, might be out for an extended period of time, likely out for an extended period of time. My guess, I'm not a doctor, but my guess right away was some type of separation or something along those lines. Connor Timmins got looks on the second power play unit. He actually ended up getting out there with the first power play, and I thought he looked fine. Aston Reese steps up, and all of a sudden he looks like he's filling into his role. Maybe he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. I think he's starting to maybe be like, all right, like, this is who I am. This is my identity, and I'm just going to play that way, and that way is going to work here. There's a reason Kyle Dubas and Sheldon Keefe brought him here. There's a reason Brendan Shanahan felt that Zach Aston Reese would be a good fit on this team, and they brought him in, and they brought him on a PTO, and they signed him off of it. They think something is there. They think something, a part of that, can fit this team. And I mean, has so far, but it was underwhelming. And now all of a sudden it looks like he's coming into his own, and he's a great addition to that line with David Kampf. Pierre Engvall, what a shot that guy had. He gets the second power play unit on the board, despite the first power play not being able to kind of bury and having those weird ups and downs, but Pierre Engvall able to bury there. And it was a great shot by him. Just a snipe, an absolute snipe. And then David Kampf with an absolute snipe coming down. So that, like, you're talking about guys who just chip in, get some things done. You're looking at David Kampf, assisted by TJ Brody and Pontus Holmberg. David Kampf, fourth goal on the season. 2 years ago, the guy had 1 goal in the year. Now he comes here, he's able to score. I mean, you're looking at it, he's on pace for 10 goals, just over 10 goals to finish this year, or 10 goals, I guess, to finish this year. So great for him. William Nylander, that breakaway goal, man, it's just showing like the development Willie Nye has had. Also, Rick Smith saying Dallas wins 4-3 over Ottawa. Yep. Thank God I had a Tyler Seguin anytime goal scorer and Dallas Stars money line. So for both of those to cash on the same play, that feels very nice. Very, very nice. Tyler Seguin wins us the double on that. Marner, 21 consecutive games to the point. He has been dominant. It's incredible to watch. It is a ton of fun to watch. And hopefully you guys enjoy watching Mitch Marner as much as you enjoy watching this show. So if you are, and if you do, make sure to hit that like button and get us to 85 likes before the end of this show. And if you haven't hit subscribe on this channel, make sure you do so. Also, Pierre Engvall, weird situation. We'll see. That guy might get suspended tomorrow. So we'll keep updated on that. The Nick Robertson situation. Matthews ended up out on a PK situation in the 5 minutes. I think that's more of a, hey, we can't let you sit here for 5 consecutive minutes and not have you on the on the ice. So that's a little bit. It's probably what's going to happen there. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see that continuously. Kerfoot, I think, is dealing with some confidence stuff. Hopefully he can kind of figure that out. I love the Leafs bench buying in when that whole Durzi situation went down, though. I love them getting up, getting on their feet, banging the boards, like getting the guys grill, the whole team. That's way more intimidating than just Michael Bunting yelling at you from the bench. That is for sure. Sheldon Keefe goes 10 for 11 in his career on challenges. Massive 5-minute penalty kill too there. Keeps Ilya Samsonov shutout. 29 saves from Samsonov. Goals basically just outscoring LA and just shutting things down defensively, and 88% deserve to win a meter here for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to the stream. I greatly appreciate it. As always, if you are here right now and you have not hit subscribe, you are not subscribed yet, make sure you do so. You can click that bell, turn on notifications. You will get notified every single time we go live on this channel and every time videos come out, like what will happen when I break down the Robertson and potential Engvall suspension. So make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Smash like on this stream. We're at 79 likes. Let's get to 85 as well. Mitch Marner, 21 consecutive games to the point. Sheldon Keefe, 10 for 11 on challenges in his career. Goals, Pierre Engvall, David Kampf, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and Austin Matthews. This Leafs team continues to roll. 5-0 win over the LA Kings, moving to 17-5